Hello, this is Paul Vonderfecht with WinDoorQuote. This is a training video on how to set up your optimized cut list. You will start by going to Setup, then Cut List. Before we create a cut list, we need to set up the saws that you have in your factory and the carts that the cut parts will be stored on. So we will go to Saws first. Here we have created a couple saws. To create a new saw, you would click Menu, Create New. Here is a saw where they've typed in the description Elumatic DG244. Next, you select if this is a double miter or a single miter saw. Our cut optimization software factors in the saw blade thickness, so if it's a double miter saw, it'll factor in 2 thicknesses per cut, whereas if it's a single miter saw, it'll just factor in 1 saw blade thickness per cut. Next, you assign the saw blade thickness. We've set these up in fraction format. We'll select 1/4 inch, and then we will select the angles that the saw is capable of cutting. Click Save and Close. Next, you will go to Carts, and we will create a cart for the cut list that we're going to create, which will be a casement frame system. Click Create New. You will select the production line for it. So the production lines come from the production scheduling module. Then you select the station that it's set up at. We'll say it's at CNC. Cart label. We'll say this is the CS cart for the casement series. Bin quantity. This is the number of bins that are on that cart. We'll say 80. Alright, we have created the saw and carts that will cut and house the casement frame parts that we're going to set up the cut list for. So next you click Cut List, and you click Menu, Create New. Type in a description for the cut list. We'll say casement frame. Select the production line, then the station. So this is which production line and which station these cuts are being performed at. Then you select the saw that is performing these cuts. Minimize layout. This is a way to save labor where it tries to do multiple lineals with the same cut sequence, so you could potentially cut 1 or 2 or 3 parts simultaneously. This is typically used for smaller parts like glazing beads or screen frames. You could also do it for your main frames, but here we'll just say no. Logic. Alright, you have 3 different types of logic. Unit, that's applied to an individual window unit. Line would be something like brick molds that go around either an individual unit or a mold assembly, or something like a nailing fin. So this is a casement frame for an individual unit, so we'll click Unit. Then you select the series that you're generating the cut list for, and then the products that these cut formulas apply to. So we will select casement and awning because they both utilize the casement frame. Then we will select the carts. As you can see, it's pre-filtered out the carts, so it's only showing the carts that have been assigned to this production line and that station combination. Next, you will select the supplier of the part that you're going to be cutting. Then you select the part number, so the internal number, so this 1001. And maybe some of your internal numbers have color sequencing data in them, and we just want to display the general number on the cut optimization paperwork, so we'll just call this 1001. Next is, how do you want to separate out your cut list? Because this is a frame and it's pre-painted, you're cutting it as a pre-painted lineal here. We will separate it by interior color. and exterior color, because you cannot optimize a white window with a blue window. Whereas if you were cutting just white PVC frames, welding them together, then painting the assembled window, you would select no and no, because you are just cutting white frames only. But for this instance, we are pre-painting the lineals, then cutting them, then assembling the window. Bin capacity is the number of these cut parts, so the number of these casement frame parts that will fit in the bins on this cart. So we'll say 4. That way we can get our 2 widths and our 2 heights in there. Trim length, that's the amount that you're cutting off to start the profile, to start your cut sequence. A lot of times in shipping, the initial 1/2 inch or inch is beat up, so you want to trim that off. So you have the option of selecting 0 inches, 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1.5, or 2 inches. We'll say we're going to cut off 1 inch. Reusable length. This is the minimum reusable length that the system will create a remnant for. So anything below this, it'll tell the saw operator to throw the part in the waste bin. Anything above this, the system will save it and inventory it and utilize it on future cut lists. And then on future cut lists, it is the first part that is always used. So you're minimizing your remnants, which helps you save money. We'll say 24 inches. All right, next you type in your formulas for the cut size. So this is UW right here. Let's say this is a vinyl window and you want to add in your weld burn off. So say UW plus 0.25. So unit width. Quantity, we need 2 widths. Start angle, let's say 45. End angle, 135. You can keep this saying 45, 45 just to keep it simple. Or if you have a CNC saw like an Elumatic DG244, we can send this data via API or a CSV file, and it'll automatically control the blade angles based upon this. We'll say here UH plus 0.25, quantity 2, end angles like that. So if we're doing a sash, you would simply say UW minus whatever your sash delta is. Put it in parentheses just to keep your formulas clean, and then you would add in your 1/4 inch weld burn off right there if you make vinyl windows. And then you simply click menu, save and close. So we've created a cut list for the casement frame, and then I just mentioned remnants. The system automatically creates remnants and it stores them right here. You can see a remnant ID right here. So on cut lists that you're generating within the production file, it gives you a remnant ID and it also creates a label. So you can place that remnant label on the part. And then I would recommend creating a remnant bin, and so that it just keeps all your remnants nice and organized so the saw operator can quickly pull them out. And let's say one of these remnants was beat up, the paint is all scratched and you can't use it. You could simply delete it right here. So now that remnant will no longer be used. Or for example, let's say you have a 41-inch long remnant, but 12 inches of it is not usable. So you click edit right here, and then you would type in a new width that you could potentially use on it. So now it's become a shorter remnant. You haven't deleted the entire remnant, you've just made less of it usable, and the system will try to utilize that first on cut lists. So that concludes the training video on how to set up optimization cut lists within WinDoor Quote.